This is your government video, which shows the executive branch checks on the legislative branch. We know that in the Constitution, they not only wanted separation of powers, which is 3 separate branches of government, but they also wanted those branches to check and balance one another. So they gave a little bit of power to each branch over the other 2 branches. The president is the head of the executive branch of government, and one of the main duties that the president does is he has the right to sign into law bills that have been passed by Congress, or he can veto them. If he vetoes them, he's basically denying a law to be put into practice. Now, the veto can only be used on bills that have not been passed by 2/3 of the House and Senate. Because Congress also has the ability to override a presidential veto, if 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate agree to the bill becomes law regardless of whether the president likes it or not. Another check that the president has on Congress is by calling a special session of Congress. Typically, Congress, the House and Senate, set up a calendar of times when they work in D.C., and then times when all of the representatives and senators go back to their home state and work from home. Now, if they are back working in their home state and the president has a particular topic area or bill he wants them to work on, the president can require all of Congress to come back to Washington, D.C., and for a set period of time work specifically on important legislation. They typically do this for very large pieces of legislation or emergencies. After 9/11, George W. Bush called everybody back into D.C. to work on anti-terrorism bills. Our President Obama also used a special session to set up the writing of the Affordable Care Act as well. Executive privilege is the right for a president to keep certain information he knows about confidential. So the president has the highest security clearance in the country and therefore knows lots of important information about the U.S. that could be harmful. And even if he is in a court of law and he swears to tell the truth, he does not have to reveal secret information that could harm our country. So executive privilege is a way for the president to not have to speak in the public, in the media, or in a court of law about things he knows. Now, presidents have tried to misuse the executive privilege. President Nixon tried to use executive privilege in the case of the Watergate scandal. He basically said that all information that was talked about in the Oval Office should be privileged and not spoken about. The Supreme Court disagreed with him, and the Supreme Court went on further to say that executive privilege can only be used in national security situations. The president also has the ability to use executive orders. Executive order is basically a direct order to people who work for the president in the bureaucracy. The bureaucracy are all the federal employees who work for the various departments of the federal government. So he can issue a direct order to ICE or to the DEA or to the Department of Energy or to Department of Education. Executive orders have the same force of law as a law would, but laws that have been passed by Congress are more substantial in 2 ways. If it goes through Congress, it gets funding. Congress has the power of the purse, so they're the ones who get to decide where money is spent. If the president issues an executive order, it doesn't come with any money. So if he wants to increase a program or start a program, he doesn't get any money to do that. He can't hire any employees to do that, and he can't pay them to do some new job. He has to work within the existing budget that Congress already allotted that particular department of government. The other part of the executive order that's not as strong as a law is that it's temporary. Executive orders can be overturned by the courts very quickly. They can be ended by the next president, and they can be ended by an act of Congress. So executive orders generally are done for emergency situations, and sometimes presidents, in the absence of Congress acting, the president passes an executive order. If Congress doesn't like that, then suddenly they are more energized to pass a real law. And so the president can use it as a way to kickstart Congress in moving and passing laws in areas that the president cares about. So executive orders can be used to initiate major policy changes or proclamations, or they're often used by presidents to stop funding something. Because it doesn't come with funding, it's far easier to end a program and end spending with an executive order than it is to start something new.